It's time for our August 2019 plan with me. This month I am doing forget-me-nots and wildflowers, and I have a brand new weekly layout that I cannot wait for you to see. Hi guys, welcome back. My name is Shayda, and yeah, it's already August. I feel like I waited so long for summer to get here, and now it's flying by. And of course, the year is more than half over, so I am in need of a new journal for the remainder of 2019. I'm using another Baron Fig notebook. I love their paper. It's thick and smooth and not at all glossy. I've never had any trouble with bleeding or ghosting. So yes, highly recommend the Baron Fig notebooks. And just a reminder that you can get my August cover page over on my Patreon. All the channel bonus content is available there. Now I am just going to put some clips on here, pour a cup of tea, and then let's get started. Because it is my second journal, I want to create just a little cover page, and so I'm starting with a diamond. You can see I've done a cross in the center, and then I've just used a ruler to make like a nice symmetrical diamond. And then here's the design element of this. I've also done kind of a half diamond, so I've just done sort of a half a diamond here at the bottom. And then what I do is where the center of the first diamond is, I am just joining that up. So we have sort of a cropped diamond here. And now that I've done that in pencil, I'm just going to go over it with my Pigma Micron. I'm still using my ruler. The sun, the light outside is just crazy. It's like cloudy, then sunny, then cloudy, then sunny. So you're gonna see a bit of light change here. But once you get that all set up, then it's really fun. We're just going to add some botanicals, some little florals. And I start with a curving line. And then I add some leaves to it. And I'm going to add some little tiny flowers and some little flower buds. I'm keeping it really, really simple. And I'm just going to sort of weave this botanical design or illustration or doodle, really. This is just like a little doodle. I'm going to weave it along the lines of the diamond. And the diamond has these really straight lines. And so I think it looks nice when you add in the whimsical movement of the botanicals. And I just want to take a second to say thank you to Skillshare for sponsoring today's video. Skillshare is an online learning platform with thousands of classes in photography, watercolor painting, design, and more. Premium membership gives you unlimited access to these high-quality classes so you can improve your skills, unlock new opportunities, and do the work you love. And Skillshare is also more affordable than most learning platforms out there. An annual subscription is less than $10 a month. And right now you can use my link in the video description to get 2 months of Skillshare for free. And I'll finish my page by simply putting the year. And yeah, I have to erase all those pencil lines, but once those are erased, I think you can see it's a beautiful, minimal, simple design, but very impactful. And I like that there's so much negative space around it. It's very minimal and calm, which is something I value. So now let's move on. We're going to create our Dutch door. Just found that word out. Dutch door cover page for August. So I always start by counting in 8 squares on 2 pages. You have to consider the bottom page where we put the little calendar and some other items there. But let's start with the top one. So we've put our line down where we know we're going to make that cut. And now we're going to do our illustration. And for the August cover page, I'm doing a simple forget-me-nots illustration. So I'll start with just drawing in the stems. I'm going to do 2 large flowers, and they both are sort of Y-shaped. They have a couple stems separating here. Then they have these large oval-shaped leaves towards the bottom, or at least the way I'm drawing them, they do. We're going to put lots of veining on the leaves to create detail. And then we're going to create the forget-me-nots by simply doing these little 4-petal flowers. Some of them are turned towards the side, so they might only have 2 or 3 petals, but these are so simple to draw, you guys. It's literally just the icon of the flower, like this classic flower that you doodle when you're a little kid. That's what makes up the forget-me-nots, and you can really see when I go over everything in pen, very big, simple leaves, and then these tiny flowers. It's a nice look. We've got the large leaves and then the smaller detail of the petite flowers. I really like that, and you just go over them in pen, put a little line or dot in the center, and we're going to add a little bit of line shading to this illustration, but for the most part, it is just the most simplistic contour drawing. But when it's finished, it looks really pretty, and I love a forget-me-not, and they're sort of blooming in the gardens and yards and even on the roadsides around here. So it's also a nice seasonal flower. And if you were going to color it in, I of course can't handle color in my journal, too uptight over here, but they're a beautiful periwinkle blue, so it would look really pretty if you did watercolor or something like that. I might place a few leaves or 1 or 2 tiny flowers going over that line. Of course, anything you place over the line, you know you have to cut around it, so be careful with how much detail you actually want to cut away. I always get so frustrated with the little tiny embroidery scissors or my X-Acto knife. Then once you've done the contour drawing and you've added that veining to the leaves, it's nice to kind of erase all those pencil marks. And once you can see what you've drawn, then I like to add in a little bit of line shading on each flower. And I am simply doing these tiny lines, and all the lines follow the direction of that petal. So they all splay out kind of like the hands of a clock. And I think it's just a simple way to create some contrast within the piece, but you really don't have to overthink it. It's so simple to do. And that is our Forget-Me-Not cover page. Now when we flip to the page below, I like to add my calendar on the right, and of course by counting in 8 squares, that easily gives me 7 squares to do a monthly calendar. And once that's done, we're going to do a little doodle here underneath, and I've marked out a grid of 4. So just do a cross and give yourself 4 sections. It's going to help keep the drawing symmetrical. And then I'm going to doodle 4 different flowers, because August is all about the wildflowers that are blooming here in Canada. So I'm starting in pencil and just kind of mapping out where the stems are going to go, and then I'll start working in pen so that you can really see what I'm doing, but you could easily sketch the whole flower in pencil. Now the first one, I'm going to do another little forget-me-not. This one is even more simplified as it's a very tiny little doodle. I'm drawing those tiny little flowers, adding the stems, and that's about it. Of course, I'll add those oval-shaped leaves, and then we are done the forget-me-not. And I'm going to title each of them as well, and that's why the lines across the bottom are a good idea. Next, I want to do yarrow. There's a lot of yarrow blooming all summer long here in PEI. It has these funny little leaves. They're sort of like ferns. So if you draw a curving line and then do pairs of tiny oval-shaped leaves, that's the larger leaf shape for the yarrow. Then I like to map out a circle across the top of all the little stems, and I fill in that circle, or it's more of an oval, with these very tiny little flower blossoms and the dark stamen in the center. Next, I'm going to do clover. We'll do a 4-leaf clover there on one stem, and then the clover is really, you just do a circle and then make it a little shaggy, and that's all there is to it. We'll go over it in pen so you can really see, but it has of course the 4-leaf or 3-leaf leaves, and then these big round blossoms. They sort of look furry almost. And for the last one, I am going to do snowdrops. So we want to do these curving stems. The stems curve and droop where they hold the flower. The leaves are long and thin and delicate, and the flowers themselves are really fun to draw. You start with the stem curving up and away from the other flower. And then you do that sepal, it's sort of a V shape, and then you just add 2 or 3 oval-shaped petals. So super simple as a doodle, it looks really cute and graphic. And that is my goals page. I always have a goals and affirmations page that I keep below the monthly cover page. It's sort of hidden by the Dutch door, and I really like that. So there it is with all the pencil removed. Very pretty and very simple. And all I need to do now is flip back over here and cut away that extra bit. And then I didn't do that on camera. So annoying. But here's what we've done so far. I think that looks so pretty. The forget-me-nots are very fun to illustrate. And I have this nice minimal goals page sort of hidden below. Next, I want to create a calendar page. I like to do a larger calendar to keep track of all my YouTube video dates. So I always map it out in pencil first. I do a 3x3 square grid with an extra line across the top just to put in the days of the week. I go over it in pen, but I don't use a ruler for this. I just like to pull the pen towards my body. Helps me keep it steady. It's a very perfectly imperfect look. I usually rush through it just because, not rush through it, I show it quickly because I do it every month, so I don't want you to get bored by it. But this month I'm doing a simple floral doodle in the bottom corner. And all I've done is, again, map out the stems in pencil first. And then from there, I just move on and start working right away in pen. And if you want to do them in pencil first, of course, by all means, but I find that's a great way to sort of not have to do everything twice. If you just know where you're going to place the stems, then you can start working in pen almost right away, and you'll get a drawing that's very free and fun and not too stiff. And I think that's perfect for a journal. Now we are going to move on and do a completely new weekly layout. I'm so excited for this, you guys. So on the right-hand side here, I have done a grid of 9 squares, and I think they're like a 7x9. So they're quite big, large squares, and I've done that in pencil first, and then I'm going to remove the squares from the 2 corners here. Very important to remove those before you start going over it in pen so that you don't make a mistake and go too far. But now I'm just using my little ruler and my Pigma Micron. I think this is the 05 nib, so I can get like a nice thick line, and I'm just going over everything. I'm doing one line across the top of each square, and that is my weekly layout. So we'll put Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, you get it. And then in the extra squares here that we haven't drawn in, I'm going to fill them in again with botanical doodles. So what I've done this month is really tried to create layouts that are simple and minimal, and that I get to enjoy creating them because I'm using the skills that I love. So I love drawing flowers, so that's what I want to do, and I don't want to do anything that's too big or complex. All of these illustrations are just based on the idea of doodling and doing this in your spare time, and these are doodles that I can do while I'm getting my hair done or while I'm on the bus or whatever. So keep it simple. I think small doodles kind of always look good and have a tendency to look quite pretty and a lot more detailed than they really are because of their size. And so what I'm doing is I'm just basically doodling anything that comes into my head. Flowers, berries, leaves. Some have lots of veins, some have lots of line shading, some are white, some are black. So creating a bit of contrast, filling that square in, and I love the way that looks. And I'm doing the same in the upper corner here, just trying to do leaves and flowers of different shapes and sizes to create contrast. Some of them I'll color in really dark, some of them I'll leave light. And you're not filling in a perfect square, but you want to fill in most of that square, and it's just a nice design detail, and I think it looks really pretty, and it's a fun way to create this weekly layout. I used a ruler a lot more this time. I don't know what it was about, maybe just getting a new journal. If you watch these tutorials, you know that I hate using a ruler. I think I'm just too lazy, but for some reason this month it was just, I don't know, I needed to do it. So now that that's done, we're going to come back and put the days of the week in, but we'll let the pen dry. I'm going to move over to the left-hand side, and we are going to use a ruler again, go figure, and I'm going to use my Sakura Koi brush pen. You can use any brush pen that's got a nice thick brush nib, and run that pen along a ruler to create these nice thick graphic lines. And with that done, I have mapped out here a little square, And what we're going to do, this is something that I saw on the Instagram of Olive Journals, and it was for her weekly layout. So I changed it slightly to make it for my notes and goals, but I thought it was a beautiful idea. You map out your little square, it could be any size, then you fill it in with these branches with the large oval leaves, and all the branches stop at the edge of that square. So wherever you hit the square, just stop drawing. I shaded all the branches with lots of tiny line shading, and once that pencil line around the border is erased, it's just such a wonderful detail. It's this fun little square, and you'll see once we do erase that pencil. I'm also going to write in notes here, and what I've done is a very simple capital letter print, and then this is a font or a handmade font that I do on the channel a lot, and I just call it my double line. And there's something about doubling the line that just makes your simple print look so good. It's a great way to fix mistakes too if you make a little mistake, and that simple print I think looks really pretty with a bit of simple cursive. I've said simple like 1,000 times. Okay, I'm going to finish the goals and ideas section here, and then once I erase these pencil lines, I think you already can kind of see where this is going, but it's a beautiful graphic page, and I think I'm going to do this for every week for July. I've been meaning to switch my weekly layout for so many months, but it's easy to do the same thing. So finally, I sort of thought about what I want to do and was able to create something. I was inspired by Olive Journals, and yeah, I think it looks so pretty with all the pencil gone. It's a nice way for me to keep all my goals and notes, because I always tend to have extra to-do lists that don't pertain to any one day on the calendar. And now that this other side has dried, I will take my white gel pen. These are just the jelly rolls from Sakura, and I'm writing in the days of the week, and I'll have to put the date in there as well. I'll figure that out later. So this is my journal for the month of August. I have a new journal, a nice simple cover page to mark the fact that this is a second book for me. I have a forget-me-not cover page for the month of August. Underneath the cutaway page, we have our little floral doodles, just because, and then I'll place my goals there as well, and we have the calendar. Then I've got my larger calendar for YouTube, and I'll start putting all my videos in there right away. I always skip a page after that, just because I like the first weekly layout to be pristine. And here I've got my notes and goals and my new weekly layout, and yeah, I can't wait to use this weekly layout. As I said, I have to put the date in there, so I suppose I would just keep it in the top corner, something like that, but I'll figure it out. Anyway, guys, that is about it for me, and I want to thank Skillshare again for sponsoring today. I've been using Skillshare a lot to help me with my video editing and my photography. There's a few courses here that I noticed that I thought you would like. The modern watercolor techniques, I think I've highlighted before. It's a beautiful course, and I think if you're a fan of the content on this channel, then you would really get a lot out of this course, because she gets into painting techniques and blending and just all these wonderful elements of watercolor. And then another one that I noticed is this intro to surface pattern design. I know so many of us as artists are trying to learn Photoshop and Illustrator and trying to get our art out into the digital world and the digital space. And this is a great course if that's kind of what's on your mind. So those are two that I wanted to highlight. Don't forget, you can click the link to try 2 months of Skillshare for free. And thank you again for watching. I appreciate you being here. I hope you're having a wonderful summer, and I will see you soon with a new tutorial. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button.